Welcome, welcome. Thank you so very much for tuning into my channel. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Sadie. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if it's not, welcome back. So today I would like to talk about a word that I recently came across, and it's polywork. I was talking to a friend of mine and he mentioned it to me and he gave me a brief generalized idea as to what it meant, and I thought I should look it up because it seemed very interesting. So as I did my research, if you would call it that, I found that polywork is basically glamorizing having more than two jobs. And I thought, wow, it's so interesting that we have come to a point where we now glamorize having to work two jobs just to survive or to put food on the table. And it really does not help that this narrative is being pushed out to the younger generation to say that this is what we should aspire to be. Mainstream media, in an attempt to make it look chic and desirable, is defining polywork as rejecting the concept of full-time work and or one boss or a single job in favor of having multiple jobs. It seems to be, or at least this term seems to be pushed out at the younger crowd, having them think that it's okay to have numerous jobs as opposed to having one place to go that you called a job, or that you call a job. However, at the end of the day, lipstick on a pig does not change the pig. It is still a pig. I know I may come across as a little opinionated, or maybe a lot. Why is it that we feel as though getting a job or working for the man, or in this case working for the men, is the best thing or the best route for us to take, as opposed to maybe searching within ourselves to see if there are things that we can do, maybe open our own thing. And I'm not saying, you open a business and it just thrives right away, but I would much rather be purchasing things on Alibaba and then placing it back on Amazon to try to figure out if I can make some profit, then get I don't want to say then get a job, but then work for multiple or have multiple jobs. It's just not, I think that the time that we spend on each of these jobs, for instance, if you just took one of those, let's say it's a 4-hour day in addition to all your other jobs, let's say it's just 4 hours a day, and you use that time to invest in yourself, to try to figure out what it is that you can do that maybe can bring in the income that you would normally make in that 4-hour shift, investing in ourselves as opposed to giving our time out there like that. I just believe that there are things that we can do. I know I keep saying I believe, but I say it from experience. If we do not start to believe in ourselves, who is going to believe in us? And believe me, there's something out there that we are all good at. I remember when I was in undergraduate, I braided hair. It's not like I went to school to braid hair, but I braided my own hair. Somebody thought it looked good, and then they were willing to pay me. And, as far as I was concerned, I would just call a price. As long as you're willing to pay, I'm your braidist, if that's a word. And I know it may sound hard, and I'm sure it is hard. I know when I started off, it was hard. But once we take that step back and identify what we think our time is worth, it makes it, to me, an easy choice for me to not get a job. And I mean it exactly how I'm saying it, because I have not held a job. I've worked for myself, but I've not held a job since, I would like to say probably more than 20 years. And if we would just take our time to pay attention to what it is that the employer, the person that employs us, is actually making from our time that we're spending in their facility as opposed to working on ourselves and or our businesses, we would be amazed. I know when I got out of law school, I was not, I've said it before, I was not going to go get a job. That was not going to happen. I could have gone to a firm and gotten a job, maybe getting paid, I don't know, $70,000 or $80,000 a year. But what that would have meant is, one, I would have to work maybe 100 plus hours a week, which is not going to happen. And I would, by the time I was done paying taxes, I would probably go home, or take home would be maybe about $40,000. Now, for me to slave myself for 100 hours a week, it's not going to happen. To get that amount of money, it's just not going to happen. And I know that me saying it right now, obviously I'm 20 years out. It sounds like, oh, it's easy for her. It was not. There were days that, no one knew the days that I was in my apartment eating dollar Chinese food. No one knew the days that I was eating 33-cent top ramen. No one knew, and no one had to know. I just knew that, as long as my office was bringing in, or I was making enough to pay my office rent, and I was making enough to pay my home rent, I knew that I was going to be okay. And I did not need to have that, oh, you get a job with a firm feeling and not getting paid what I thought I was worth, one. And number two, when I was done filing taxes, I really was being the one ending with the short end of the stick. I'm just not going to do that. I keep saying I'm not going to do that, but I'm trying to talk to the young people out there. We can take one of those jobs, the time that we spend on one of those jobs, to search within ourselves as to what it is that we are good at. And again, as I said, if I was not a lawyer, I would be on Alibaba buying things for really cheap and selling on Amazon. I think it's called Shopify. I would figure something out, but I will not. This is not the best term to use, but I would not slave myself for chump change. As an immigrant, even though I came here when I was really young, America was this place that people came to live out their dreams, and anything is and was possible. I don't see what has changed in the years that I've been here. But there is a saying out there, and I know it's not going to be easy, but there is a saying out there that the man who moves mountains started by moving small stones. And we can, all of us, you out there, if you're listening to me and you've been searching for something that you can do, there is something that we're good at. There is something that if we spend maybe 2 or 3 hours a day doing, rather than doing someone else's job or working for someone else, there is something that we can cultivate and make into our own that will pay us. There is. I strongly believe in that. Most people that know me know that after I meet a person, after a few months, I do start talking about, well, why don't you figure a way to open your own business? Anyway, I'm done with my rant for today, and I'm going to go back to the word of the day, which was polywork. Only in America would the act of having 2 or more jobs be glamorized to the point where some people actually aspire to be that. And I don't know if it's my lack of attention. I don't want to say lack of focus, because that's one thing I do have is focus, but my lack of attention would make me a bad polyworker. There's no way that I could have 2 or more jobs. It just won't happen. And I'm not trying to sound like I have all the answers, but there is no way that we should be working multiple jobs trying to, make ends meet, when the same time we spend at that extra additional job, we can spend on ourselves and actually make a lot more than the job that we are actually working at. So I'm speaking to the young ladies and gentlemen out there. I know I alluded to this earlier in this recording, but there are so many benefits that one can get having their own business. One of them is that you get to decide how much you are going to pay for taxes, rather than having a job and they just cut out 40% of your check to go to Uncle Sam. And I'm not an accountant. I'm not giving accounting advice. I'm not giving legal advice. But if you talk to any person that owns their own business, they will tell you that one of the perks is you can write off quite a bit That's all I can say. Again, this is not legal advice, not accounting advice. Talk to an accountant, but there are ways that we can make the system work for us and not work for the system. That's all I'm saying. And don't let the system take your youth while lying to you or giving you some, or romanticizing what is going on with you having more than 2 jobs. No, it is not glamorous. And no, if I can figure out a way to get out of a situation such as that, I would. I've given some ideas. Again, I'm a very big buy low, sell high type of person. And if I had enough time to do that, best believe I would have myself a nice business going on. I'm hoping that I have, spilled some nuggets out there. If you have any questions, again, I'm not an accountant and this is not legal advice, but if you have any questions, put it down in the comment section and I'll try to answer if I can. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Once again, this is Sadie. If you got any benefit whatsoever from this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share, and turn on the notification bell. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.